It was Friday evening, after another long week, when I climbed the top step of my condominium with my briefcase in one hand and a pizza in the other. My ex was sitting on the steps outside my front door with a little girl beside her. Amy wasn't my ex. We were seriously discussing marriage when she announced she was pregnant by her ex-boyfriend. That was 5 years ago, and this cute little girl, probably their daughter, looked a lot like Amy. "Hi, Amy. Who's the little princess?" "I'm Jesse. I'm almost 5. Do you like pizza?" "I love pizza. Mom said your name is Brad and you were her boyfriend." "Yes, Jesse," I said, trying to get through the door with my briefcase and pizza in my hands, while Jesse darted between my legs. "Give me the pizza, Brad. How are you?" "Another day in paradise, Amy." I put the plates and drinks on the kitchen table, where I ate almost all of my meals. I handed Amy the pizza cutter and asked her to pass the pizza while I got the soft drinks. Jesse let me put her on the bar stool. Jesse ate a whole slice and half of another and didn't stop talking. I found her absolutely charming. After dinner, I sat Jesse down in front of the Nintendo with some kids' games that friends had left behind. When she walked into the living room, I noticed that she was limping. It was so obvious that I wondered why I hadn't noticed it before. When I returned to Amy, I asked, "Why are you here, Amy?" "It's been 5 years. How did you find out where I live?" "Your mom gave me your address. Jessie was in an accident last year. You must have noticed that she's limping. The doctors want to operate and said that the longer she limps, the more damage her hip and muscles will suffer, and that damage will be difficult to repair. Even with insurance and savings, we're short $10,000. I need $10,000. I took my wallet out of my briefcase and handed her my credit card. "There's enough on the card if you need anything else." "You're just going to give me your credit card even though I've put you in such a difficult position?" "I'm giving you my credit card because your little girl needs it. Our history shouldn't affect her. She hasn't done anything to me. Do you need anything else, Amy?" "The hospital would like to use what's called donor blood for the surgery, which is blood from a relative. I'm not just asking for $10,000, I'm asking for your blood." "What's wrong with your blood or her father's blood? Mark, right? I'm not related." "My blood isn't compatible. Neither is Mark's, because he's not her father." I looked at Amy, looked at Jesse, then back at Amy, who was staring at her dirty plate as if it were the most important thing in the world. "5 years ago, we were talking about getting married, Amy, after almost 3 years of living together. And then you came to me, broke my heart because you were seeing your ex-boyfriend and got pregnant by him. And now you come here and tell me she's my daughter. Is this some kind of twisted game? I gave you money without asking any questions." "I don't understand, Brad. I did the math, I put 2 and 2 together and got 5. Telling you that I was dating my ex 5 years ago was the hardest thing I've ever done, and going back to Mark was the stupidest. By the time we got married, I remembered all the reasons I hated him, and we divorced a year later. He hardly ever sees Jesse, and that was before he found out he wasn't his father." "When did he find out? And how?" "A blood test. He wanted to know how her parents' blood could be compatible. I mean, it's possible. Mark isn't very smart, and the nurse explained everything to him. His blood type and mine don't produce a child with Jesse's blood type. It took him an embarrassingly long time to connect the dots, and then he ran out of the office. I haven't seen him since." "Why, Amy, you were the first woman I ever truly loved. You once mentioned what a jerk Mark was. Why did you break my heart over a jerk?" "Brad, it's easier for me to get tangled up in my own explanations than to explain it. My therapist believed it was a case of premarital jitters. I don't know, but I do know that I set you up because of a jerk, and I set up my little girl more than you can imagine." "And now what?" "In the near future, Brad, I'll schedule the surgery and give you the information you need to donate blood. Here's a form you can fill out to determine if you're really Jesse's father." "Are you saying there's some doubt whether I'm her father or not?" "I have no doubt, Brad. It was either you or Mark, and it definitely wasn't Mark, so that leaves you. The test is so you won't have any doubts. After that, it's up to you. I would really like you to be a part of her life. Mark was definitely not a father to her, but the decision is yours. Tell me about the accident, Amy. I didn't look at her when I asked that question. I looked at Jessie in amazement. I had a little girl. My mother would have been overjoyed. I looked at Amy, her dirty plate full of tears. Mark came over, supposedly to see Jessie. He was drunk. I don't believe he came for Jessie. Anyway, he started playing with Jessie, tossing her up in the air onto the couch. She was having fun. He missed and grabbed Jessie by the leg. There was a crunch. Mark didn't want to take her to the hospital because he was afraid he'd be accused of child abuse, and at first we believed she was okay. At first she limped, but then it became permanent. God, I let him convince me to go back to him. I let him convince me not to get my child the medical help she needed. I wouldn't be here now if I had taken her to the emergency room and had her leg set. I failed every test, as a friend, as a fiancé, as a mother. I wanted to comfort Amy, but I couldn't take my eyes off Jessie. You know that, Brad. You knew you were her father from the moment you held her in your arms. I could see it in your face. You have to tell me what you want. I can take her away and you'll never see her again, but I can see that's not what you want. I need to take her home and put her to bed. Maybe you can call me tomorrow and tell me you believe me, or come over for dinner. I know I've shocked you with this news. Then Amy left, trying to find Jessie's socks and shoes. Will I see you again? Jessie asked. I'm sure we will, Jessie. Amy kissed me on the cheek and said goodbye. After she left, I called my mother and invited her over for breakfast in the morning. What's wrong, Brad? I can make you breakfast. It'll be much cheaper. I'll pick you up at 8, Mom. She started threatening me for making her wait all night, but I ended the conversation. Politeness was not my mother's strong suit, and she told me without hesitation that I was being an idiot. Maybe that's why I valued her opinion so much. Then I called Amy and told her I wanted to accept her invitation to dinner. We discussed the details, and I asked her to send me some gift ideas for Jessie. I mentioned that I was having breakfast with my mom in the morning. She joked that I was a mama's boy. I went to bed with a strange smile on my face, even though images of Amy telling me she had broken up with her ex kept popping into my head, but I couldn't get Jessie out of my mind. Amy broke my heart. And before her, I had never loved a girl. Before Amy, I had dated and slept with many women, but I had never felt love for any of them. It bothered me so much that I asked my mom about it. She said I would fall in love when I met the right woman. It was probably 2 years before Amy came into my life. I was damn happy, almost as happy as I am now with Jessie. Before I picked up my mom, I asked Amy to send me some recent photos of her and Jessie. My mom wouldn't let me go when we sat down at the table. I knew she wanted to talk as soon as we got in the car. Is this about that woman, Amy? She called me, asking for your address and phone number. I wanted to call you and tell you, but I forgot. You were going to propose to her, weren't you? Yes, Mom. But before I could, she said she got back together with her ex-boyfriend and is pregnant by him. I'm so sorry, Brad. Why didn't you tell me? What did she want after all these years? It's been 5 years. She wanted a lot of things, but most importantly, she said she made a mistake and that it's my child. Here's a picture of your granddaughter. God, she's beautiful, Brad. But Amy could have lied to get money, support, or something else. In my heart, I know she's mine, but I'll take a paternity test to clear up any doubts. Why did she come to you now? Before she told me that Jessie was my daughter, she said Jessie needed surgery on her leg and $10,000, and I gave her the money. You did that without knowing she was your daughter, even after Amy knocked your teeth out? Amy knocked my teeth out, not Jessie. She limps because of an accident a year ago that damaged her hip and muscles. Jessie shouldn't have to suffer for her mother's sins. What did you do to the boy I gave birth to? Amy also needed my blood, so-called donor blood, for a transfusion during her surgery. Neither Amy nor the man she believed to be Jesse's father had compatible blood, which led to the discovery that he was not the real father. Are you the only option? Amy insists that I'm the only one, but I'm willing to take a paternity test to clear up any doubts, as I said. Mom, when I first held her in my arms, helping her onto a stool in my kitchen, I felt like I'd been struck by lightning. It was the strangest feeling of my life. Your father described the same thing when he first held you, your brother and your sister. He once told me that if we had another child and he didn't feel the same way, we would talk. God, she's so beautiful. When will you see her again? I'm going to Amy's for dinner tonight. I want to go with you. Don't argue, Brad. I have a granddaughter who's almost 5. If I had a car, we'd be on our way. It's not my house, Mom. I can't invite you. Bradley, if you don't call her right now and tell her I'm coming, I'll box your ears. When my mother called me Bradley, I knew it was time to stop arguing with her. She had threatened to do that to me, my brother, and my sister our entire lives, and we never knew what it meant. I called Amy. What's up, Brad? Her voice sounded anxious. I'm sitting in a restaurant with my mom, and she insists on meeting her granddaughter. She wants to see her right now. Maybe she'll join us for dinner. There was silence. Brad, I'm sitting here regretting inviting you to dinner. Mark is so far behind on child support that he'll never be able to pay it off. As a result, our living situation is less than ideal. But I thought you'd enjoy seeing Jessie in her home. Besides, your mother can be very strict sometimes. I saw the look on my mother's face. She heard you, Amy. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Mom snatched the phone from me. Don't apologize, Amy. When you're my age, you won't have time for tact. Please tell me her size. I know what dress I want to buy her. Amy and my mother discussed dress and shoe sizes and Jessie's favorite colors, writing everything down on a piece of paper she took out of her purse. My mother's face was beaming. She had wanted grandchildren ever since my brother and sister graduated from college, and since I was the oldest, I had to be the first. My mother handed the phone back to me. I guess I'll see you at 6, I said. Yes, Brad. It's all happening so fast, I guess I should have expected it. See you at 6. I ended the call. Finish up, Brad. We have things to do. Like what? Shopping, of course. I can teach you a thing or two about buying clothes for little girls. Do you know how long I've waited to buy clothes for my granddaughters? Besides, I'm too busy to drive myself. Come on, let's go. We went to 6 stores before I drove her home. I don't know how much she spent, but I had 8 bags from expensive stores in the trunk. My mom and I were driving to Amy's for dinner, and I didn't expect Amy to live in a prestigious neighborhood. But her neighborhood was a few steps below middle class. The deciding factor was the number of burned-out buildings. Compared to the rest of the neighborhood, Amy's house looked pretty good. My mom grabbed my arm as I was gathering the bags. My granddaughter can't live here, Jack. I'll be afraid to come here after dark. Mom, when was the last time you drove after dark, other than Monday night to bingo? We rang the doorbell and heard Jessie yelling that the door was ringing. Jessie opened the door for us. Hi, Brad, she said. Mom held out her hand. I'm Marge. I've heard so much about you, I just had to come and see. Cool. Come see my room, guys. We waved to Amy, and Jessie dragged us into her room. Amy's room was very cute, decorated in girly pink with stuffed animals everywhere. I left my mom and went to talk to Amy. I hope you're okay, I said. I know the neighborhood isn't the best, and I'm sure your mom isn't happy that her granddaughter lives here. She's not happy, Amy, but my mom has her own opinion, and she'll tell you when she wants to. If she gets too pushy, let me know. Mom was all smiles when she and Jessie joined us in the kitchen. I love your room, Amy. It's perfect. Mom lifted Jessie up to help her onto a chair, and it turned into a hug. Feel that, Jessie? That's love. She sat Jessie down and hurried to the bathroom. I'm sure she had tears in her eyes. Jessie managed to finish her plate again and didn't stop talking. Mom hardly ate because she was completely focused on Jesse. I had never seen Mom smile like that before, but tears still rolled down her cheeks from time to time. After dinner, Mom took Amy to her room and helped her try on all the things she had bought. She dressed Jessie up and sent her to the living room to pose for me and Amy. Brad, she bought at least $1,000 worth of clothes. I wasn't going to stop her. She scares me when she acts like that. It was late, and Jessie kissed Mom and me good night. Amy joined us later. I know you don't like where I live, Marge, but it's all we can afford. You're right, Amy. I don't like where you live, but it's a necessity. I look at your daughter's room and I see love. There's nothing more important than that. But now that her real father is in her life, with our help, you have more options. I'll call you tomorrow night and we'll discuss what we can do. Mom kissed Amy goodnight, and the meeting was over. Mom had always been stubborn, so Dad never said no to her. But I wasn't sure how Amy would react. Amy asked me to call her when I got home. Your mom is beautiful, I don't know, strong. Yes, she's beautiful. But if you tell her no firmly, she'll give up. She has money, Amy. She was shocked at how much money my father had saved when he died, and she lives simply. So she has money, and I know she'll want to help her granddaughter. If you think she's too pushy, just tell her you'll discuss it with me or say goodbye and hang up. That's what I do. The weather will be nice tomorrow. Do you want to go to the park with us? I don't want to impose her on you, but you seem happy when she's around. Sure. Let me know where and when. Don't forget to call my mom tomorrow. Sunday was a beautiful day. I played with Jessie on the swings and the slide. We fed the ducks and ate hot dogs. The girl was amazing. I was on cloud 9. When Jessie got tired, we went back to my place so she could take a nap. I love watching her with you, Brad. Mark was never that close to her. Maybe that was the first sign. Are you going to ask about us, Amy? Not now. Right now I need to focus on Amy and the surgery. I want you to take the paternity test and clear up any doubts. After the surgery, we can discuss whether there's a us between us. And it doesn't have to be us for you to choose any kind of relationship with Jessie. My mom called Amy around the time Jessie woke up from her nap. Jessie and I played video games while Amy and my mom talked. After that, we went to dinner. I believed that Amy and I would be able to talk about how the meeting with my mom went, but Jessie wouldn't let us bring it up. I'm sorry, Brad. Jessie and I have been alone for a long time, and like you, I get lost when she starts talking. But we need to talk about my conversation with your mom. Can you drive us home, and we'll talk after Jessie goes to bed? Amy poured us both glasses of wine. Your mom was completely distraught, just throwing ideas out there. I gave her the address of Jessie's daycare and my office. She's looking for something that could work between us. She even offered to buy me a house, or a house for Jessie. I can't let her do that. She suggested that Jessie and I move in with her, and she'll take care of Jessie. It'll be a long commute to work. She didn't say it out loud, but she really wants Jessie and me to move in with you. She said you have 3 bedrooms, so why not, according to your mother? What about your job and daycare? It doesn't really matter. But you have doubts, Amy? Right now, I need to focus on Jessie, like I said. Then maybe we'll see what happens between us. Moving in with you seems too fast. I believe we need to get through the surgery first. Amy kissed me on the cheek before I left, but I stayed for another 15 minutes, watching Jessie sleep. We had a plan, and God laughed. That night, a few blocks from Amy's house, there was a gang shootout. The police reported that hundreds of bullets were fired, 2 men were killed, and 7 were wounded. My mother was furious that gangs were shooting at each other under her granddaughter's bedroom window. Amy had no choice but to agree, and the following weekend, my brother and sister helped us move Amy and Jessie to my apartment. Amy had her own room, and Jessie loved her new room. My brother and sister immediately fell in love with Jessie. Jessie's surgery was scheduled for the following Monday. I took time off work, and my mom was going to be there too. Jessie would stay in the hospital overnight. It would be a week before she could go back to daycare, and my mom insisted on watching Jessie so Amy could go back to work. The previous week had been difficult for me. After Amy left me, I hadn't dated anyone and hadn't slept with a woman in a year. Amy was there, and the more time we spent together, the more I remembered why I wanted to marry her. And then I remembered those words. I'm seeing my ex-boyfriend and I'm pregnant with his baby. After that conversation, she got up and left. And now questions were spinning in my head. How long had she been seeing her ex-boyfriend, weeks or months? Jessie's hospital room looked amazing, with half a dozen balloons and a bunch of stuffed animals. My mom, sister, brother, and his girlfriend showered her with gifts. My mom, being observant, noticed that there was nothing from Amy's family. Amy once told me that she was born from her mother's second marriage. She has 2 stepbrothers from her mother's first marriage, but they live with their father, and she has never met them. It is believed that she cheated on him. Her biological father caught her mother with her lover and left when she was in college, but continued to pay for all her expenses. While she was in college, Amy's mother took a lover who moved in with her. One day, Amy came home for spring break, took a shower, and her boyfriend tried to come into the bathroom. She squirted shampoo in his eyes to get him to back off. Amy's mother didn't believe her and said she was just getting revenge for her mother cheating on her father. Amy hasn't spoken to her since. I believed it had something to do with her leaving you for that jerk or whatever she called him. What about you and Amy? Is there any chance you'll get back together? I don't know, Mom. We agreed not to talk about it until after the surgery. When Amy is in the next room, I remember why I fell in love with her. I also remember the night she dumped me. And how long she cheated on me with that jerk before she told me? I'll focus on finding another place for her. There's an apartment building not far from here. Jessie came back to me. Amy and I took the first day of vacation and waited for Jessie. The next day, before Amy and I left for work, my mom came over. She said Amy had been calling her every hour to find out how Jessie was doing. Jessie had a few days of physical therapy, but by the end of the week she was walking normally. And then our life returned to a new normal. Amy picked up Jessie from daycare on her way to work and picked her up after work. My mom and I were added to the list of people authorized to pick her up. The paternity test results came back. I was Jessie's father. And then it was time for a serious conversation about us. We sat across from each other at the table with glasses of wine in our hands. I let Amy start. I've already told you, Brad, that going back to Mark was the stupidest thing I've ever done. But the worst part was that I saw my mother in myself. I need to know, Amy, how long had you been seeing Mark before you told me? I think it was a few weeks before you found out you were pregnant. Amy stared at her glass of wine, and I knew her answer would be painful. She started to cry. It doesn't matter, Amy. I can see you're not going to like my answer. My mom found a nice apartment for you and Jessie. I'll give her the go-ahead in the morning. Once you decide on a moving date, my family will help you. We can work out a visitation schedule so I can see Jessie. Sleep wouldn't come, and I lay in bed, unable to close my eyes. I was lying with my back to the door when I heard it open, and then I felt Amy climb into bed. Brad, I beg you, forgive me. I ruined everything, I know. I'm not my mother's daughter. I'll never do anything like that again. I promise you, Brad, I beg you, give me another chance. I'm not the person I was then. Motherhood changes a person. It changes their priorities. It's not about Jessie. I know you and your family will always be there for her and support her, no matter what happens to us. But I want us to be us, Brad. I know that what I said or didn't say tonight must hurt. Please just think about forgiving me. Think about giving me a second chance. I am not my mother's daughter, and I never will be. Jessie continued to cry next to me, and I finally fell asleep. In the morning, when I woke up, she was gone. We usually got ready for work at the same time. In a panic, I ran to Jessie's room thinking all her things were there, but then I realized something was missing. Their toothbrushes were missing from the bathroom. There was a note on the table. Brad, it breaks my heart to be only a few feet away from you, and this is the closest I can afford to be, and it's all my fault. I'll stay with your mom until we find a new place. She'll watch Jessie during the day, so you don't have to worry about taking her to daycare. I hope you'll visit Jessie often. What does any good boy do when he's in trouble? He calls his mom. I called her and told her I was on my way, then called the office and said I wouldn't be coming in. My mom was painting with Jessie, and it was hard to tell where there was more paint, on Jessie, on my mom, on the kitchen table, or on the floor. My mom was thrilled. Jessie gave me her masterpiece to hang in my room. Mom cleaned up the paint and suggested we watch a movie. At one point, Mom bought every Disney movie available on DVD. Let's go have some coffee, Brad. We sat down in the kitchen. Amy told me about last night, and it's your decision, but I'll help you talk about it. Amy had been cheating on me for weeks or months. She didn't talk about it. She had been cheating on me the whole time, and I didn't notice. What hurts more, that she cheated on you, or that you didn't notice? I'm not sure they're two different things. If she had cheated on you once and you found out right away, would it be easier to forgive her? Actually, this whole conversation is about whether you can forgive her and, if so, whether you want to get back together with her. So, if she had cheated on you once and you found out right away, would it be easier to forgive her? It would be easier if it had happened once she had come to me, confessed, and asked for forgiveness. But she came to you and told you what happened. She could have just left you over some stupid thing, married some jerk and had his baby. Or she could have never admitted to cheating and pretended the baby was yours. Does it matter if it was once or twice or how many times? It's never easy, Brad, and I really don't believe that the past matters that much. You obviously still love her, otherwise you wouldn't be sitting here talking to me about it. Mom, what do you think I should do? Do you believe that Amy is truly sorry about what happened? Yes. She said that what she did reminded her of her mother, and she doesn't want to be like her mother. Do you believe she'll cheat on you again? I don't think so, because it's not just her problem. She has to think about Jessie, too. Like I said, the problem is that it all comes down to how long it went on. I didn't notice anything during those weeks and months when she was with Mark. You'd expect a compassionate person to show some signs of remorse. Or maybe I was blinded by love and didn't see the signs. You've reached a dead end. Maybe you should sit down and weigh the pros and cons of your choice. The past doesn't matter. Do you believe your life will be better with Amy or without her? It may be a blow below the belt, but what's best for Jessie? The answer to that last question is obvious. And when you're a parent, you have to think about your children. So, you're saying it'll be better for Jessie if we get back together. The world isn't that simple. If you go back to Amy but can't forget what she did, you'll end up hating her, and Jessie will grow up in an atmosphere of hatred. I don't want that for her. The world isn't black and white, Bradley. Like in your case, you see two options: make up or don't make up. But you have to try. Maybe a month or more, and see if you feel love or betrayal. Thanks, Mom, for offering another option. And stop calling me Bradley. Honey, I'm trying to help you look at this logically, but there's nothing logical about love. You see how I look at Jessie? You look at her the same way because when you look at her, your heart fills with love, and you look at Amy the same way. You fell in love with her at first sight. Like I said, you wouldn't be here if you didn't love her. I needed a break, so I lay down on the couch to watch Disney with Jessie. She lay down on top of me. I was in heaven. Mom said you're my real dad, Brad, so can I call you Dad? I'd be very happy if you called me Dad, and I believe my mom would be happy if you called her Grandma, but we have to ask her. I'm so happy I finally have a dad. What about Mark? I thought you called him Dad. No, he was my mom's boyfriend. He was never nice to me. He called me a bastard or something like that. Mom said it was a bad word and I shouldn't say it. He hurt my leg and wouldn't let Mom take me to the doctor, but you fixed my leg. I knew I shouldn't have asked, but the words came out before I could stop them. How often do you see Mark? Almost every day. He still lives in our old apartment, and my mom likes to stop by on her way to our place or to yours to take a nap with Mark. But I've already slept at kindergarten, so I watch TV. It's really boring. What does Mark look like? He's big and black, and he scares me. Why does he scare you? He's really strong, and when he hits me, it hurts a lot. And he always hits me on my bare bottom. I noticed my mother's reflection in the TV and turned to her. She was crying and holding the phone in her hands. Wait until Dad wakes up, Jesse, and then you can call me Grandma or whatever you want. Go wash your hands, and then we'll have cookies and milk, but promise you'll eat all your dinner. I recorded everything, Brad. I wanted to record the first time she called you Dad, but I didn't have time. I'll send it to you. What are you going to do? I'm going to go to Amy's old apartment and tell her everything I think. No violence, Bradley! Amy's car was in its usual spot. She once gave me a spare key so I could pick up some clean clothes for Jessie. I went inside and heard the sounds of sex coming from her bedroom. I started filming when I entered her room. I expected to see her having sex with Mark, but instead she was sandwiched between two black guys. Looks like you're your mother's daughter? I turned and left, and Amy screamed, "No!" On the way home to my mother, I felt incredibly calm. The torment I had been feeling was gone, and the decision was simple. I called my mother and told her what I had found. She said she knew what to do. When I arrived at my mother's house, there were several cars outside, including a police car. In a panic, I ran into the house. Jessie was sitting at the table talking to two women, and another woman took me by the elbow and led me into the living room where a police officer was standing. The woman who took me by the elbow introduced herself. I'm Greta Goldsmith. I'm with Family Services. Your mother, Marge, reported possible abuse of Jessie by her mother and her mother's boyfriend. This is what we call a crisis intervention. I understand you are Jessie's biological father, is that correct? If so, can you prove it? Yes, I'm her biological father. I only found out recently. I have a copy of the paternity test in my bag in the car. I can give it to you or show it to you on my phone. We'd prefer to see a copy from your briefcase, but that can wait. Marge also told us that you found Amy with two other people in her old apartment. Yes, I can show you the video. I was told she has a website where she posts videos like that. Her boyfriend gave me this business card with the link. Greta took the business card, and I sent her the video. I'll watch this outside. Not that I want to, but I could be a school counselor on summer break, and instead, I'm watching interracial porn. While she was outside, I tried to hear what Jessie was saying when there was a commotion outside. A police officer ran past me toward the street and yelled at us all to stay inside. I watched from the doorway as Amy struggled with Greta and the cop grabbed Amy. Greta told Amy that they had received a report of child abuse involving Jessie and that they were taking Jessie into protective custody. Amy fell to her knees, face down in the grass, moaning loudly. Greta continued, "The police officer will issue you a restraining order. You are prohibited from coming within 100 meters of Jessie, her daycare, her father's house, or her grandmother's house. Any violation of the restraining order will result in mandatory jail time. Do you understand me?" Amy was still lying face down in the grass, moaning loudly and hugging herself. One of the women came out of the house, helped Amy to her feet, and escorted her to the car. Amy sat down on the hood, covering her face with her hands. Her clothes were in disarray. She must have gotten dressed in a hurry. The police officer handed Amy a document, which I assumed was a restraining order, and explained its terms to her in detail. He also told Amy that she had to leave the area. "Officer," I said, "she's in no condition to drive. I'll take her home." The policeman looked at me for a long time, then said it was all right. Greta wanted me to take a paternity test before I left. I went into the house and told her mother I was taking Amy home. She was sitting on the sofa with Jesse on her lap, facing her. They were both crying. We put Amy in the passenger seat of her car, and I got behind the wheel. "Where do you want to go, Amy?" "I'm so sorry, Brad." "Please stop, Amy. I don't want to hear it. Just stop." "Tell me where you want to go, to Mark's." "No, you can take me to your apartment. I'll pack my things. I'll leave in the morning. Or I can stay there for a while until I figure things out." I dropped her off and took a taxi to my mother's house. By the time I got back, everything had calmed down and the guests had left. My mother and Jesse were in their usual places, but Jesse was asleep. My mother nodded toward the documents on the coffee table. The state had granted me temporary custody of Jesse until the official hearing. When Amy first showed up at my door, I installed cameras in my apartment, on the front door, in the kitchen, in the living room, and in the hallway, where I could see the bedrooms. I couldn't trust Amy. She led a fairly strict lifestyle: work, home, sleep, and repeat. The only change was which room she slept in. Usually it was Jesse's room or mine. Most of the time she cried, watched TV, or ate. Mark was nowhere to be seen. 6 weeks passed between the crisis intervention and the official custody hearing. My mom hired a lawyer to represent us. My mom and I filed for custody, as did Amy. The lawyer my mom hired was tough. I believed he was too tough. The hearing wasn't like they show on TV. My mom, the lawyer, and I sat at one table. Amy sat at another table, about 2 feet away from us. No one was called as a witness. By the time our lawyer was done with Amy, it would have been a miracle if she had been granted custody of her pet hamster. Amy sat with her face in her hands, sobbing. I went over and hugged her, and she buried her face in my shoulder. "I've become just like my mother," she said. Everyone looked at me, including the judge. "She's still a human being," I said. The judge granted me primary custody along with my mother. Jesse was allowed to visit his mother under court supervision once a month. Jesse missed her mother very much, so I arranged with Greta from Family Services for Jesse to talk to her mother on video chat while I or my mother was in the room with him. Greta seemed like a reasonable person. She allowed Amy to go with us on Jesse's first day of kindergarten. The 3 of us watched Jesse get on the bus, then drove to the school, watched her get off the bus, and made sure she got in the right line for her teacher. Mom and Amy cried all the way to my mother's house. We sat at the kitchen table drinking tea, and my mother told Amy how she cried on my first day of school, not so much because my brother was going to school too, but because my sister was left behind. Amy told us about the psychologist she was seeing on Greta's recommendation. With the psychologist's help, she hoped to repair her relationship with Jesse. She assured us that she would never contest the court's custody decision. Then it was time to rush to school and walk Jesse to the bus. We hurried back to her stop and watched her get off the bus. She said she was a big girl now. Mom invited Amy to stay for dinner, and the 3 of us adults sat and listened to Jessie tell us about her day. She cleaned her plate again and talked and talked and talked. I walked Amy to her car. "How long will you let me stay in the apartment, Brad?" "Take your time, Amy. I'm staying here with Mom, and I don't want to give up the apartment while you need it." "I'll stay, Brad. I'll send you the file. I've lied to you so many times that I don't expect you to ever believe me. I went to a criminal investigator and took a lie detector test. I hope you'll watch it. I ruined everything, lied, ruined it even more, and lied about it. There was no malice in my actions, although I wouldn't believe myself if I were in your shoes. But please watch the interview." Amy stood up and kissed me on the cheek. The interviewer asked Amy a series of questions, and she mostly responded that she had been in a sexual relationship with Mark, but had broken up with him several months before she met me. Amy gave in, not realizing that Mark would never stop blackmailing her. Somehow he found out that she was seeing me again, and the blackmail resumed, but even worse. Once I caught her with Mark and the other guys, Mark no longer had any power over her, and she was able to break free. I turned on the recording for my mother. "Bradley, It sounds like you're facing the same questions I asked myself a few months ago. Do you think Greta would be okay with us letting Amy see Jesse more freely? And please stop calling me Bradley. I'll have my lawyer look into it, and as for Greta, you earned your hero status by comforting Amy during the hearing. 2 months later, I invited Amy to dinner, although we often had dinner together as a foursome at my mother's table. Amy and I decided that this would be our first date. I picked her up at her apartment with a bouquet of flowers. After 8 dates, she invited me over, and we spent the first of many nights together.